Hi everyone, so I'm just making a quick little video to take you through my KWL, just to give you an example of what is expected from you. So I did my KWL and my research on Germany, so that's the city that I chose. So whatever city you chose, you should have your K and your W already done, and what you're going to do now today is add your L and do your research. So what I knew about Germany was it's in Europe. They speak German, or otherwise known as Deutsch. The capital is Berlin. It's known for beer and its sausages, and I know that it has a large population. So I didn't know too much, but that's okay because I'm going to research now and learn lots more. So the W is what you wanted to know. So what I wanted to know about Germany, I kind of based it on the topics that I've chosen for my report, which was school, food, and an interesting place to visit there. So I chose my 3 topics from the list here in Starlight, page 115. So obviously you might have chosen different topics, but that doesn't matter, whatever you want here. So what I wanted to know is, what is school like in Germany? Why is Germany famous for beer? What other food and drink is Germany famous for? What famous landmarks are in Germany? Where would tourists go in Germany? Is school in Germany very different to school in Ireland? So you should have this done from last week. And now what you're going to do is look at your W questions and what you want to know. And that will help you with your research and what you're going to look up. So what I did for my L section is I decided to separate it into the 3 topics: school, food, and an interesting place, just to keep my research organized. And you don't have to go into huge detail here. This is just to help you plan before you're actually going to write your report. So you don't need to do full sentences. It can be a bit messy if you want. And when you write it in the report, then you'll put in a lot more detail and you'll make it much neater and tidier. So firstly, my research on school and what I learned about school. So in Germany, they go to kindergarten first, from about 3 to 6 years. Then they have grade 1 to 4, which is Grundschule, which is like primary school here. There's 3 different kinds of secondary school: the Hauptschule, Realschule, and the Gymnasium. So that kind of depends on their academics here, and they choose which school they want to go to. The school day is from about 7:30 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. They have a cafeteria with a hot lunch, and they get lots of homework. So when I'm writing it out, I'm going to add in a little bit more detail than this. I just kind of wrote this down in my notes to help me remember what I'm going to say, but maybe for the secondary school I might go into a little bit more detail about the 3 different types of schools. But just for my notes and my research, this is what I've written down about school. Then food, what I found out here. So the food is very heavy and rich in Germany, and they eat lots of meat. So then I looked up a few different meals that they have. So there was Sauerbraten, Schweinshaxe, Schnitzel, and Bratwurst. And what I'm going to do when I'm writing out my report is I'm going to go into a little bit more detail about those, but I don't need to write that here in my research. So potato is the main staple, and beer is a huge part of German culture, and they have Oktoberfest, which is a beer festival every year. Then my last section was an interesting place in Germany, so there was absolutely loads. What I did was I just chose 3 that I'm going to write about. The first one was Eltz Castle, so it's a castle with 8 towers and turrets, and it was built in 1157. Then there was Cologne Cathedral, which took 600 years to build and was bombed 14 times. And then there was the Brandenburg Gate, which is a sandstone monument, and it's an iconic spot to celebrate New Year's Eve in Berlin. So when I'm writing that out, I'm going to go into more detail there. But that's just enough for me to have in my research. So when I'm actually going to write my report, I'll have loads to help me, and I don't need to go back and look this up again. All my information is here, but I'm going to write it out in more detail when I'm actually writing my report. So that's all we want you to do today, to research your country. And you should really focus on the 3 topics that you've chosen, because they're the 3 things that you're going to be writing about. So you can jot down your research in your English copy, and take a picture and then you can post it to Seesaw, and then you will be well able to write your report when we get to that part.